At 18, I lost everything after my sister falsely claimed I got her fired from her dream job. She destroyed my life. She screamed in court. I stood calmly, handed the judge an email, and said, "Then explain this confession." The judge read aloud. Her face went pale, and I watched as her lies crumbled in front of everyone. I was standing behind the counter at Lou's Diner, wiping down the chrome edge of booth 6, humming to whatever sad country song was playing from the busted jukebox. It was late, close to 9, and the dinner rush had thinned to just 2 truckers nursing bottomless coffees and a tired-looking mom calming a baby with a French fry. My phone buzzed in my apron. I wasn't supposed to check it mid-shift, but I snuck a glance. Carly. We hadn't talked in weeks. Not unusual. She was 8 years older, living big in Charlotte with a corporate job and a newer-than-she-could-afford Lexus. When she called, it was usually to drop news like a BMB, she was flying to New York for work, or her latest boyfriend had taken her to some steakhouse where the water had a mineral list. But this time, no emojis. No "hey lil bro" or dramatic voice notes. Just a call. I stepped outside, apron still on, the screen door swinging behind me. "Carly," I answered. "You okay?" There was a pause. Then her voice, flat and clipped. "I got fired." I blinked, confused. "What?" "Fired, Will." Gone. Just like that. She never called me Will. Always Willie or little man or some mix of sarcasm and affection. But now it was like talking to a stranger. "Wait, what happened?" "What do you mean fired?" Her breath came heavy, like she was walking fast or pacing. "They said there was an anonymous complaint. Someone sent emails to HR, accusing me of manipulating reports, leaking client data. And they tracked it. The IP address. It came from Asheville. From your apartment." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous. Like, surreal. For me? "Carly, I don't even know how to send a fax. You think I'm out here committing white-collar crime from mom's router." But she wasn't laughing. "I'm not joking, Will. Neither am I. I didn't do anything." "Don't lie to me," she said sharply. "You've always been jealous. You think I don't see it? Every time I come home, it's written all over your face. You hate that I got out." I stood there in the sticky heat, frozen. Cars passed by on Hendersonville Road, headlights washing me in yellow light, and I couldn't even move. "Carly," I said slowly, "I never would have. Why would I even?" "You tell me," she snapped, and then she hung up. Just like that. 10 seconds that flipped everything upside down. It unraveled fast after that. Within a week, she'd filed a formal civil suit against me. Defamation. Interference with employment. Fraud. The works. Mom tried to play neutral at first, but I could feel the shift. The way she didn't look me in the eyes. The way she started locking the mail cabinet. Whispered calls with Carly behind closed doors. I tried explaining. "Mom, I swear, I had nothing to do with it. I don't even know what she's talking about. She thinks I hacked her." She sighed, folding towels, eyes on her hands. "I don't know, Will. Carly's not stupid. If she says something happened, so you believe her." I snapped. "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." She walked away. I got quiet after that. Quit talking about it. Quit trying to defend myself. It felt like shouting into a void. Every week brought something new. An affidavit, a letter from her lawyer, a reminder of my court date. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus at work. Eventually, I missed too many shifts and Kenny told me he had to let me go. Community college dropped me. Financial aid flagged my application because of the lawsuit. 18 years old and suddenly, I was nothing. No job. No school. No sister. Not even the benefit of the doubt. I remember laying on the couch one night, staring at the ceiling fan, listening to the slow churn of its blades. Carly had been my best friend once. And now she was burning my entire life to the ground. One night, Mr. Dobbins came over. My lawyer. He was not what you'd picture. Mid-60s, cardigan with elbow patches, hair like a thinning Q-tip. I got him through legal aid, and when he walked into our living room, Mom looked him up and down like he was selling cemetery plots. "We're running out of time," he said, shuffling through his manila folder. "Her team's argument hinges on location and timing. They traced the emails to your IP address, but her timeline's off." I perked up. "How?" "She claims the messages went out in May, but the initial HR report is dated April 17th. Her dates don't match." "Okay, so what does that mean?" "It means maybe she's lying." I blinked at him. "No offense, but maybe won't help me in court." He smiled thinly. "Then maybe you should start looking for evidence." That night, I tore through everything. Old devices. Email accounts I hadn't touched since middle school. Every dusty USB drive I'd ever forgotten about. And that's when I found it. An iPad. Old, cracked, half dead. It had been under my bed for years, wrapped in a flannel shirt. I plugged it in. Waited. And there it was. An email. April 16th, 3:09 a.m. Subject: I can't believe what I just did. I opened it. I remember my hands shaking, the air suddenly feeling thick. I know this is crazy, but I had to do it. That BTCH Jennifer got the promotion I was supposed to get. I couldn't let her win. I made it look like someone else leaked the info. Changed the IP through that VPN site you told me about. Gonna pin it on my brother. He's too clueless to figure it out. Besides, it's not like he has a future anyway. Just another wasted small-town loser. I sat there, staring at the screen, jaw locked. There it was. Her confession. Sent from her account. She must have accidentally hit send instead of save. My heart pounded. I called Dobbins. He came over within the hour. This changes everything, he muttered, reading it under the lamp like it was the Dead Sea Scrolls. When court day came, I didn't sleep the night before. I showed up in a borrowed blazer and 2 tight dress shoes, heart hammering in my chest. Carly was there in full armor, hair perfect, navy blue suit, a legal team at her side. She cried on the stand. Told the judge how I'd always been resentful, how I sabotaged her success because I couldn't find my own. Said I was obsessed with tearing her down. Mom sat behind her, pale, lips pressed tight. When it was my turn, I didn't try to give a speech. I didn't cry. I just stood up and said, "Then explain this." I handed the email to the bailiff, who handed it to the judge. She read silently. Then she read it out loud. The whole courtroom went silent. Carly's face turned white. "That's not real," she whispered. "He forged that. He's manipulating it." The judge raised a hand. "Ms. Burke, be quiet." Her lawyer leaned in, whispering urgently. Carly started shaking her head like a kid refusing medicine. "It's fake. He did this, he's lying." But the evidence spoke louder than she could. The judge dismissed the suit on the spot. Then she dropped the hammer. "I'm forwarding this to the DA for investigation. Ms. Burke, you may be facing criminal charges for perjury and fraud." And just like that, everything crumbled. After court, the first thing I felt wasn't relief. It was silent. That heavy, ringing silence when the noise stops, but your body hasn't caught up yet. I stood outside the courthouse with Mr. Dobbins, watching people shuffle past us, jackets flapping in the cold wind. My hands were still trembling. I didn't even realize I'd been clenching my jaw so hard until I felt the soreness creep in. Carly didn't look at me as she left. Her heels clicked down the marble hallway, her lawyer trailing behind her, red-faced and whispering. She kept her eyes locked ahead, like if she looked at me, she'd fall apart. Or maybe she didn't want to see what she'd done. Mom came out a few minutes later. She looked smaller somehow, like someone had popped the air out of her. "Will," she said, coming over slowly like I might bolt. I nodded. Couldn't speak yet. She reached out and took my hand. Hers was cold. I didn't know. I didn't answer. What was I supposed to say? "It's okay?" It wasn't. "I understand?" I didn't. She squeezed my hand anyway. "Let's go home." That night, the apartment felt strange. Too quiet. Like the walls were holding their breath. Mom reheated a casserole neither of us touched. I stared at the TV while something mindless played, but my mind kept replaying the courtroom. Her voice. Her face when the judge read that email. The look of someone watching the house she built burn to ash. I don't know what I expected. Not satisfied. Not joy. But maybe a moment where I'd feel vindicated. Something righteous. Instead, it felt like standing in a room full of broken furniture, with no one left to blame. Carly blocked me on everything. Phone, email, even Venmo. Mom told me she called her once after the hearing. She was upset, Mom said quietly, stirring sugar into her tea. Said she didn't mean for it to go that far. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because what else could I do? She meant to destroy my life, Mom. Not just mess it up. Destroy it. Mom looked away. "She's still your sister." "No. She's not." A month passed. No updates from the DA. No word from Carly. I tried to get back to normal, whatever that meant. Picked up a part-time gig at a hardware store off Tunnel Road. Started taking online design classes, cheap ones, just to keep myself moving. Most nights, I stayed up late tinkering on my old laptop, drawing logos I'd never show anyone. Half out of hope, half out of spite. One morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring to voicemail. An hour later, I finally listened. It was Carly. "Hey," her voice cracked through the speaker. "I know you don't want to hear from me. I get it. I deserve that. But I just need to explain. Please. Can you meet me? Somewhere public. Neutral." She left a location, a coffee shop on the edge of town. Neutral ground, I guess. I stared at the message for hours. Deleted it. Undeleted it. Played it again. I don't know what possessed me to go. Maybe I just wanted to see if she'd look me in the eye again. The shop was small, tucked between a florist and a dry cleaner. I got there first, ordered a black coffee, and sat at a booth in the corner. My hands were sweating, legs jittery under the table. I felt like I was back in court all over again. She walked in 15 minutes late, sunglasses on, hood pulled over her hair like she was ducking paparazzi. When she saw me, she hesitated, then came over slowly, sliding into the seat across from me. Neither of us spoke for a full minute. I didn't know what else to do, she said finally. I laughed once, short and humorless. So framing me was your best option? She winced. I panicked, okay? I was drowning at work. They were pressuring me, Jennifer was gening for my job, and I just snapped. I made a STPID choice. You ruined my life, I said, keeping my voice level. You didn't just screw up. You went out of your way to burn everything I had. And for what? A job. Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't think it would spiral like that. I thought HR would investigate, slap my wrist, and that would be the end of it. I didn't expect it. All of this. No. You didn't think at all. She flinched at that, looking away. I leaned forward. You wrote I was a wasted small-town loser. You remember that? You meant that, didn't you? She didn't answer. I looked up to you, I said. You were all I had. A tear slipped down her cheek. I'm sorry. I wanted to yell, to scream. But all I could do was stare at her, trying to reconcile this mess of a person with the sister who used to braid my hair while we watched cartoons. I just needed to see if you meant it, I said finally. She wiped her face. I do. I stood up. Then you'll take responsibility. No more lawyers. No more games. She nodded slowly. Yeah, I will. I wish I could say that was the end of it. But 2 weeks later, I got another letter. This one wasn't from Carly. It was from the DA's office. And it wasn't about her. It was about me. I held the envelope in my hands for a solid 5 minutes before I opened it. Plain, white, with the seal of the Buncombe County District Attorney's office in the corner. My name typed neatly on the front like it was just any other letter. I don't know why I expected something more dramatic. A phone call, a knock on the door, anything besides this cold little envelope that felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Inside was a short letter, a single paragraph really. Mr. William Burke, this letter is to inform you that an investigation has been initiated following newly submitted evidence regarding potential obstruction of justice and tampering with digital evidence in the matter involving Ms. Carly Burke. You may be contacted for questioning. You are advised to retain legal representation. I reread it 3 times before the words even registered. Obstruction. Tampering. I sat on the edge of my bed, trying to make sense of it. How? Why? I called Dobbins. He didn't answer. I called again. Straight to voicemail. On the 3rd try, he picked up breathless. Will. I know. What the hell is this? I snapped. They're claiming the email was fake. I stood up. What? I'm telling you what I've heard. Carly's legal team submitted new claims to the DA. Said the email was forged. That the iPad was accessed months after the timestamp, that metadata shows inconsistencies. I was pacing now, heart pounding. That's a lie. You saw it yourself? I hadn't touched that iPad in years. I believe you, he said firmly. But they're playing dirty now. She's not backing down. But she admitted it, I said. In the coffee shop. She said she did it. Did you record her? He asked. I stopped pacing. No. Of course not. He sighed. Then it's your word against hers. Again. The next week was a blur. I was called in for an interview. Not an interrogation, they said. Just routine questioning. But it didn't feel routine. I sat under flickering fluorescent lights across from a man in a wrinkled suit who looked at me like I was already guilty. Tell us again how you found the email. I already told you. Tell us again. So I did. Again. And again. And again. Every word analyzed. Every pause suspicious. I left that room feeling like I'd committed a crime I hadn't even imagined. When I got home, Mom was waiting. I saw the letter, she said softly. They dropped one in the mailbox for me, too. I dropped my bag on the floor. She's lying. Again. I believe you. I stared at her. Do you? She looked away. You didn't before, I said bitterly. Not until a judge told you to. She came closer, reaching for my arm. Will, stop, I said, pulling back. You don't get to comfort me now. You stood in court and watched her accuse me. You sat behind her like a proud mother. I didn't know what to believe. That's the point. I shouted. You should have believed me. Not because of evidence. Not because of a confession, but because I'm your son." She stood there stunned. Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't say anything. Neither did I. I left the house that night. Slept in my car in the parking lot of the hardware store, curled up in the back seat with a jacket over my face. It was cold, and the windows fogged over. I didn't sleep. I started digging. If they wanted to question my version of events, fine. I'd give them more than questions. I'd give them answers. I called Jenna, a girl I'd gone to high school with who'd gotten into cybersecurity. We weren't close, but I remembered she'd once fixed my old laptop for $20 and a Mountain Dew. "I need a favor," I said. She listened. Asked for the iPad. Took it home for a week. And when she called me back, she sounded impressed. "Okay," she said. "Here's the thing. The email? It's real. Like real. Timestamp lines up with when the email client synced. You didn't alter it. You didn't spoof it. But what?" I asked. "There's evidence the iPad was remotely accessed in July, after you found the email." I blinked. "What?" "Someone tried to delete the account. But the internet was out. The command didn't go through." My stomach dropped. "You're saying someone tried to wipe it?" She hesitated. "Yeah. Can you see who?" "No, but I mean this kind of access? You'd need the Apple ID credentials. And you'd need to know where to look." I hung up and stared out the window. Carly had tried to erase it. Even after everything, even after admitting what she did, she had tried to come back and clean it up, like she thought I wouldn't notice. She knew where the iPad had been. She knew I had it. She must have gotten in through iCloud or something. And now she was using that failed wipe attempt to claim I had tampered with it. It was genius. Twisted, but genius. I met Dobbins in person again, and showed him everything. He whistled. "She's desperate. She's dangerous," I corrected. He nodded slowly. "We can use this. But it's going to get worse before it gets better." He wasn't wrong. The media caught wind of it next. Nothing major. Just a local affiliate blog doing a family betrayal piece with a clickbait title and a blurry courtroom sketch. But it was enough. My old friends from high school started messaging. Not to support me, to ask if I really tried to frame my sister. Even my old boss Kenny texted. "Man, this is wild. Are you good?" I ignored him. Everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me. At the gas station. At the grocery store. Even walking into the damn hardware store. It didn't matter that I was innocent. Carly was winning again, not in court, but in public. In people's minds. The way she always had. And I was back to square one. Broke. Alone. Hated. The only difference now. I was angry. I wasn't just trying to survive anymore. I wanted the truth out. I wanted her exposed. And if she thought she could keep burying her lies, she hadn't seen what I'd dig up next. Have you ever hit a point where you stop feeling things the way you used to? That's where I was. Numb. Past the tears. Past the yelling. Just cold. Focused. I didn't care about justice anymore. Or clearing my name. That had sailed. I wanted something else now. I wanted the truth. Dragged out into the daylight. I didn't care how ugly it looked. I didn't care who got burned. And I was pretty damn sure Carly wasn't acting alone. It started with a name. Or more accurately, a username. Jenna, my hacker friend from high school, called me late one night. "You said your sister works in a corporation, right?" she asked, chewing something on the other end. "Yeah. Marketing analytics. Or something like that." Well, I was digging through the metadata on the iPad and I found something weird. There's a series of access logs tied to an external app, like a cloud-based storage sync. Looks like someone uploaded attachments through a third-party client. And the user tag tied to that app? MRW245. Okay, I said, not getting it yet. I ran a search. That tag's also tied to a private Dropbox folder that was linked to an IP in Charlotte. Guess what else? It's under a corporate email address from Penton Dynamics. That was Carly's company. Whose email? I asked. She hesitated. I think it belonged to her direct supervisor. A guy named Mark Whitener. I froze. I'd heard that name before. Carly had talked about him last Thanksgiving. Said he was abrasive, but brilliant. Said he had a wife and 2 daughters, but no time for either. She'd said it with that smug little smirk like she knew something I didn't. Are you saying he helped her? I'm saying Jenna said that this guy was either in on it or covering his SS. The next day, I started digging into Mark Whitener. He wasn't hard to find. LinkedIn. Public records. Charity events. Some feature in a Charlotte business magazine with a glossy photo of him smiling next to a Mercedes. But one post stood out. A tagged Instagram photo from 2 years ago. A staff holiday party. Carly, standing next to him, arm looped through his, both of them holding glasses of champagne. Her head tilted toward him like they were very comfortable. The caption, Power Pair at Penton. 2 minds, 1 mission. The comments were mostly fluff, but one stood out from an account that was now deleted. Interesting definition of work wife. Hope your real one doesn't see this. That was the spark. I called Dobbins. I think Carly was having an affair with her boss, I said flatly. He groaned. Well, I'm too old to be dragged into another soap opera plot. No. Listen. This guy, Mark Whitener, had access to her accounts. He used her accounts. Jenna traced activity back to his company login. That's how the files got moved around. He was quiet for a second. That might explain a lot, he said finally. If they were involved and something went sour at the company, exactly. She espionaged another employee, got caught, and blamed me. But she wasn't acting alone. Dobbins muttered, My God. If this is true. It is true. We had to be careful. We couldn't subpoena corporate records without triggering a storm of lawyers. But Jenna found a workaround. She accessed cache data from an old shared calendar, one Carly had lazily left synced to a shared drive. There were weekly strategy meetings, listed with Mark. Always after hours. Always off campus. One was marked, Suite 218, 7 p.m., bring the proposal. But the address? That wasn't a conference room. It was a hotel. I printed everything. Emails. Logs. Metadata. Screenshots. I had a folder 2 inches thick and a fire in my chest that wouldn't go out. When Dobbins handed it all to the DA's office, they didn't respond right away. But something shifted. You could feel it in the way they spoke to me during follow-ups. Less suspicion, more caution. They asked better questions. Started requesting access to Carly's old accounts. They even contacted Jenna. Then 2 weeks later, a BMB dropped. Mark Whitener resigned. No statement. No explanation. Just a quiet departure, scrubbed from the company's website within hours. Carly's LinkedIn went private the same day. I sat on the front steps of our apartment, phone in hand, staring out at the sunset burning over the Blue Ridge. She was running scared, but not scared enough. That night, I got a message. Blocked number. No contact ID. Just one sentence, you should stop digging. People make mistakes. But they don't forgive rats. No punctuation. Just cold and clipped. I didn't respond. Didn't sleep either. Next morning, my car had a fresh, deep key scratch down the driver's side. Letters carved into the paint. Liar. I didn't report it. What was the point? It wouldn't lead back to her. Or him. They were too careful for that. But it told me something. I was getting closer than they were comfortable with. Things with Mom were worse than ever. She didn't talk to me unless she had to. No more questions about my day. No more casual dinners. Just silence. Distance. One night, I came home late, and she was waiting in the living room. Carly called me, she said. I sighed. Let me guess. She's the victim now. She says you're dragging this out. That you're obsessed. That you're trying to destroy her career. She destroyed mine. Mom shook her head. You're my son, Will. But I'm not going to stand by and watch this become a vendetta. She tried to erase evidence. She's trying to frame me again. What part of that don't you get? Mom's voice rose. She's still my daughter. And I'm your son. I shouted back. Or does that only matter when I'm quiet and obedient? She didn't answer. And I walked out again. I didn't come back for days. I stayed with Jenna. She let me crash on her couch, kept feeding me instant noodles and coffee. She didn't ask for explanations. Just let me pace around her living room muttering theories, pinning timelines on a whiteboard like some budget detective. You know, she said one night, flipping through one of the folders, for someone who used to SCK at algebra, you're weirdly good at putting pieces together. Maybe revenge activates a different part of the brain, I muttered. She smiled, but it faded quickly. You really think they're still planning something? I nodded. I think they already did. That's when we found it. An internal memo. From Penton Dynamics' legal department, buried in a file dump Carly had carelessly left in a forgotten cloud folder. It was dated 2 months before the lawsuit. In light of recent client-side breach exposure, we recommend shifting liability away from internal systems. Suggestions include utilizing third-party device compromise as a plausible narrative. Discuss strategy with MW and CB immediately. MW. CB. Mark Whitener. Carly Burke. It wasn't just personal. It was calculated. They planned the whole thing, not just to save Carly's job, but to protect the company. They needed a fall guy. They picked me. I sat at Jenna's kitchen table, that memo in my hands, heart pounding like I'd just run a marathon. 2 things were crystal clear. 1, Carly hadn't just made a mistake. 2, this wasn't just about family anymore. This was corporate cover-up, reputational fraud, and calculated espotage. I wasn't just some casualty in my sister's downward spiral. I was chosen. They needed someone to take the hit. Someone forgettable. Dispensable. And who better than her younger brother? The betrayal hit differently when you knew it wasn't emotional. It was strategic. Jenna leaned across the table. We could leak this. I looked up. To the media, she said. Not the little blog guys. I mean real press. Let them rip it open. You've got enough here to make someone sweat. I'd rather take it to the board, I said. She blinked. Penton's board. I nodded. They'll bury it. Maybe, I said. Or maybe they'll do what boards always do when their reputation's on the line. She smirked. They eat their own. It took 3 days to craft the email. I wrote it like a whistleblower letter. Formal. Clinical. No anger, no accusations. Just timelines, documents, and questions. I attached the memo, the metadata logs, and a neat little report Jenna helped me compile tying Carly and Mark directly to the false narrative built to protect the company's internal breach. Then I sent it to every executive board member at Penton Dynamics, from the CEO to the CFO to the company's legal counsel. I didn't sign it. I let the facts speak. Then I waited. 2 weeks later it happened. A press release hit the business wires. Penton Dynamics announces internal audit, leadership restructuring following recent allegations of misconduct involving former employees. The company has initiated a third-party audit and severed ties with all individuals connected to the issue. Penton Dynamics remains committed to transparency and integrity. Former employees. Mark Whitener was officially blacklisted in the industry. I found out through a friend of a friend he tried to apply for a consulting job in Raleigh. Didn't even get a call back. Carly, meanwhile, was gone. Her professional social media profiles disappeared. Her name scrubbed from press releases. Word floated around, someone in HR spilled to a friend, that her NDA came with a severance payment and a lifetime ban from rehire. She was erased. Not dead. Not in danger. But silenced. And for the first time in years, I felt clean. Like I could breathe again. Then came the court hearing. It wasn't criminal, not anymore. The DA quietly dropped the obstruction inquiry after the metadata debunked Carly's claims. But I filed a civil suit. Defamation. Lost wages. Emotional distress. Carly didn't contest it. She settled. The amount was modest. Not life-changing. But enough. Enough to finish my design certification, pay back the debt from the last 2 years, and finally move out of my mom's place for good. When I walked out of that courtroom, I didn't even look back. 6 months passed. I got a job doing branding work for a small creative firm in Asheville. Nothing glamorous, but real work, real clients. I spent my days designing, pitching, and building. Nights were quiet again. Peaceful. No lawyers. No whispered conversations. No digging through digital trash for proof of my own innocence. One night, while walking home from work, I stopped at a coffee shop, sat at a table by the window, sipped something hot, and stared at the people going by. Then I heard someone clear their throat. I looked up. Carly. Hair shorter now. Simpler clothes. No makeup. I'm not here to fight, she said. I nodded slowly. Then don't sit. She hesitated. Then I walked away. I watched her leave. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel anything. Not anger. Not bitterness. Just closure. Mom called a week later. I heard about everything, she said softly. I know I was wrong. I didn't stand by you when it counted. I didn't say anything. I just want to say, I'm sorry. That one hit differently. I sighed. Thanks. We talked a bit after that. Not about Carly. Just life. Work. Groceries. Like normal people. It was enough. Sometimes people ask if I regret not pushing harder. Not ruining Carly completely. But the truth? She ruined herself. I didn't need to destroy her. I just had to stop protecting her. And that was the real revenge. Letting her live in a world where I stood tall again. Where her lies couldn't touch me. Where truth had the final word.